Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for coming this Tuesday. Our speaker tonight, our topic tonight is HIV and spirituality. And about 2 or 3 months ago, we were in a board meeting talking about items that we could talk about. And Bridget, one of our board members, mentioned that we should do something on spirituality. And I think it's a great idea. I myself was raised Catholic and really did not feel comfortable there, did not feel at home there. And I always felt like there's got to be something different, something else out there. And when I finally moved out of the house and was on my own, I was living in West Hollywood, and I was trying different churches, and nothing was clicking. I was, felt like I was going to get nowhere. But then I stumbled across Agape, which was in LA. I've seen a lot of heads going bouncing up and down. And that was my introduction to spirituality. And I really felt at home. Dr. Mellon, who our speaker tonight, is the leader of the Global Truth Center in Los Angeles, a spiritual center. And he can explain more about that. But we're very excited that they're opening up a church here in Palm Springs too. So I won't take any more of your time or you guys' time. I'll introduce Dr. Mellon. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. First of all, thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting me to come speak here. I have to tell you, I've been very pensive about coming to speak to you tonight. And I'm never pensive. I'm usually very comfortable speaking. But when it was about HIV and spirituality, I was like, okay, so what is that? And I have a book that I just wrote that just came out in November called The 5 Questions. And the first question is, why am I here? And I ask that question all the time. So actually tonight, as I'm standing here, I'm asking myself that question, why am I here tonight to speak? But I want to ask you to ask yourself the same question. Why are you here? Why are you here tonight? Was it for the sandwich? Because that's it, that's over. So really ask yourself, like, why are you here? What are you here to get? What do you want to get out of me? What do you want to know? The answer I come up with for myself is, why am I here? I'm here because I think life deserves to be fun, and life deserves to be joyous, and life deserves to be happy. And this is called HIV and spirituality. And so I thought, you know what, let's just start with what is HIV? I think you all know that. Some of you, I just learned, have been living with HIV 40 years, right? Some of you, how many have been living with this 40 years plus? Right, okay, so I want to go back to when HIV came on the scene. And I know many people do this, but I was a young actor. I'm a Broadway actor. I've done a number of Broadway shows, and my big claim to fame is starring in West Side Story in the first revival by Jerome Robbins and Leonard Bernstein and Stephen Sondheim. And right after that, that was 1980. Right after that, I was starring in 42nd Street. And my best friend got very sick, and I didn't know what it was. None of us knew what it was. And he died instantly. I mean, he really just died. And it was so quick. We were all just in shock. We didn't know what it was. It didn't have a name at the time. This was 1983, 82. We didn't have a name, certainly. And when we did get the name, when I say, what is HIV, I learned at an early age, and I was 25 at the time, 27 at the time when this all came about. And the answer was, what is HIV? HIV equals death. That was it. HIV equals death. That was what I knew. That's what we all knew. And do you remember remember the expression silence equals death? Did you all wear those t-shirts with the V and when we started doing the AIDS walks and everything? Silence equals death. And that was about politics. That was about the government, and that they weren't doing anything to help us, and we had to speak out. And I knew Larry Kramer very well. We did workshops together. So I was involved in all of that. But tonight's HIV and spirituality. And the silence, I think, that I want to talk about tonight is the silence within our hearts. What are we not talking about? What are we not saying to ourselves? What are we not feeling? And the idea of what is spirituality? So Jim talked about being Catholic. How many ex-Catholics in the room? Okay. Oh, current Catholics. You're a current Catholic. How's that doing? You're good. Would you say you can never leave? You know, you can. But yeah, but you're good with Catholicism, right? Yeah, the new Pope's great. I'll give him that. Um, the new Pope has been there 10 years. Time is flying. Catholicism died with the Second Vatican Council. It's going to be a fun night. Yeah. So I was a Catholic. I wanted to be a priest. My whole youth, I wanted to be a priest until I discovered sex. Then I decided probably not a good option. So I became a Broadway actor instead. It's kind of similar if you think about it. The Catholic Church, it's pretty theatrical. You really think about it. And the thing I miss about the Catholic Church is the incense. I just miss the smell, that whole thing. But I grew up Catholic. Listen to this, I taught morality in New York City to the public school kids at St. Gregory the Great. Because even though I'm starring on Broadway as a gay actor, I'm teaching morality in the Catholic school system. So figure that out, because I really thought it was important. And I was Catholic. I stayed Catholic for a very long time. And then I went into Buddhism. Then I went into Marianne Williamsonism. Then I went into Unity. Then I landed in religious science. How many of you know what religious science is? So as Jim said, Michael Beckwith, how many of you know The Secret? So, you know, it's that law of attraction thing. But that's not what spirituality is. How many of you would consider yourself spiritual? Do you consider yourself spiritual? No? So what do you think spirituality is? It's that. I mean, when you hear spiritual, what do you think? And you can just scream out at me. I'll repeat. What? Comfort. Okay, that's great. What else? Confusion? Spirituality. You know why it's confusion? Because you're confusing it with God. Spirituality does not equal God. And exactly, well, there's only one thing going on. I didn't say God. I didn't say there's only one God, because there are many gods. If you're a Hindu, any Hindus here? Okay, the Hindus, many gods, one energy. Still the same thing. So what is spirituality? For me, spirituality is that voice inside of you that knows who you are and does not identify you by something like HIV or even gay or male. There's something inside of you that knows you from the depths of your being, well beyond any aspect of your life. That's what I talk about when it's spirituality. So when I ask myself the question, why am I here? It's not to teach anything or to tell you my opinions of things at all. But I will tell you this, I'm not HIV positive, I'm HIV negative. But I had cancer. I had stage 4 cancer. And I was given, that was March, I was given 5 months to live, April, May, June, July, August. Yeah, they gave me 5 months. They said, in 5 months, put your rare affairs in order. This has gone through you. And I just didn't think that was true. I did not believe that was true. I actually even laughed when he said, it's stage 4 cancer. I laughed. And he was like, this is serious. And I was like, I'm not laughing because it's not serious. I'm laughing because you think stage 4 cancer is a death sentence to me. And I don't. I just don't. That was 14 years ago. And I am very healthy, very vibrant. And what I really understood, where I was able to really figure it out, was everything I'd been teaching up to that point as a minister, and I had already been a minister for like 10 years, was true. And that my mind, my consciousness is what created my body. My consciousness decides what's going to happen in my life. The problem is we have so much interference from the world out there that tells us things. But here I am standing in front of people who've lived with HIV for 40 some odd years, which really beats the odds from what they told us. So what did it? What is it? Well, it's your consciousness, I believe. It's something in you that knows the truth, and the body gets to do what the mind tells it to do. So what is this thing called God? While we're on the subject of God. So I teach quantum metaphysics. Have you ever heard that expression? So quantum metaphysics is taking science and understanding God from that perspective. And quantum metaphysics would say that there is this energy field of pure energy, pure creative energy, pure love. Every cell in your body is quantum. Every part of you is part of this one thing. So when I was saying there's really only one God, there's only one quantum field. There's not multiple quantum fields. There's a quantum field of pure energy. That's what we are. That's what God is, this creative energy. That's what I understand God to be. It's not religion. Spirituality is not religion. Spirituality is understanding who you are from a very deep level. And here's the this is the amazing part. Spirituality is you starting to understand how powerful you are. That everything you want is right there in front of you, but you have to decide to take it. So, the quantum field. If you get it that you're living in a quantum existence, if you get that you're living in this quantum field, then you get that you're creative. And if you get that you're creative, then you get that everything going through your mind is showing up in form, some way, somehow. Every belief you have brings forth. You only think what you think because you believe what you believe. Did y'all get that? They did. So you only think what you think because you believe what you believe. If you believe this world is a really hard place to live in, that's how you're going to think about the world. But on the other hand, if you believe that we live in a quantum field of pure potentiality and anything you decide, you can achieve. As Emerson said, what man can conceive, man can achieve by thinking properly. So if you really get that, if you understand the quantum field, then you get it. You're in charge. And I think many of you sitting here are already proving that, and online as well. So that's the quantum field. To me, that's my religion. I teach quantum metaphysics. So this is Deepak Chopra, and he says, I like to think of enlightenment as a never-ending horizon. You get closer to it, and then another horizon shows up. So I'm not going to put you through a meditation tonight. I don't think any of you all want to do meditation tonight. No, some of you might, but we're not doing it anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I do want you to take a deep breath right now, really deep, like fill your entire body with a breath, as deep as you can get it. You're not breathing deep enough, I can tell. There you go. Okay, deep breath, right? Okay, and let it go. Now take another really giant deep breath, but hold it once you hit the top. Once you hit the apex, deep in, hold it, just hold it. And before you pass out, let it go. So you were just in charge of that, right? You were just in charge of how much breath you took. Maybe some of you didn't do it and you were like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But you were in charge. You got to decide what to do with your breath. Life is nothing but breath. It's all it is. It's just air. It's this energy, and you get to decide what to do with it at all times. And what he says here is every time you get close to something, another horizon opens up. So one of the things I wanted to come here to do tonight was to give us all, and I'm about to hit a birthday that is interesting to me. I'm about to turn 70, and I'm like, wow, this will be really interesting. 70. How many people are older than 70? Is it fun? Every day. Good. Okay, good. So I realized that my 60s were really my 50s. And here's what I mean. The whole time I was in my 60s, I denied it. I kept saying I was in my 50s. And I looked good. I could actually lie and no one would challenge me. But I realized as I'm getting towards when I turned 69, I was like, oh my God, I missed my 60s. I've been so worried about getting old that I have, and I teach this shit, excuse me, but I teach this stuff. And it's like, if I feel that way, I'm creating that in my life. So it's not a surprise that in October of this year, I had a massive heart attack. Massive heart attack. I was in the middle of teaching a lecture, doing a lecture in Kauai, no less. And I'm teaching this lecture in quantum metaphysics to a room filled with people. And I'm like, oh God, I pulled something at the gym. 8 hours. I'm doing an 8-hour workshop. And I'm like, I think I pulled a muscle. And I told the woman who was running the center, very good friend of mine, I was like, I may have to go look at this because I think I pulled something. So I go to the emergency room when it's all over. And first they were just like, well, we'll do an x-ray and check to see if you broke something. And then they just come swarming in. They're like, you're in the middle of a heart attack. When did this start? I was like, about 8 hours ago. They were like, 8 hours? You just thought to come in? And I thought about it. I was like, yeah, you know why it took me 8 hours? Because I was in denial that anything could be going on in my body. Because I'm 50, not 69. And so I did. I had this massive heart attack. They medevaced me over to Oahu, put in 3 stents, sent me back, and I decided I'd keep teaching the workshop. I thought, well, I don't have another session until Friday. I could do it, but I didn't. After that, I was like, my husband was like not having it. He was like, you're on a plane, you're coming home. So why do I tell you all this? Because if I forgot, if I was trying to pretend that I was 50s in my 60s, I decided I wanted to be 70. I want to live the rest of my life in alignment with who I am. And I want to know that it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Because what do I teach? I teach you get to experience whatever you believe. And I thought, oh my God, if I keep believing that I'm getting old, my body's going to start getting old. And the funny thing is, I'm in really great shape. I had a blood pressure incident last week. I went to the hospital and they put me through a stress test and said, your heart's fine. I really laughed when he said this. He said, your heart is fine. There's no damage. It's very strong. He said, maybe it's your mind. And I was like, I teach that. And then I thought about it. I went, maybe it is my mind. So I'm here tonight. Why am I here? I'm here because I am you. You are me. There's only one thing going on. And I want to be happier. I want to be more fulfilled. I want to be more incredibly involved in my life. So what if? How many of you are willing to ask the question, what if, in your life? Like, what if I had more energy? What if I had more vibrancy? What if I never got sick another day in my life? What if? I have a bunch of what ifs here because it's all about your mind. Everything going through your mind right now, even here tonight, is creating tomorrow. Everything going through. Whether you agree with me or not, whatever you're doing with your mind right now, it is choosing and designing the life you're about to live. How does that feel? Does that make sense to you? Anybody argue that? Does anybody have a feeling that there's something outside of you designing your life for you? Okay, good. Then we're all in a good place because it really is your mind that's going to decide it. So here's some questions for you. What if I knew I was successful and that's all I knew? What if you knew you were successful and you never even entertained the concept of being unsuccessful? And I'm talking about money too. How many here have enough money, so much money that they never have to think about money again for the rest of their life? And he said, and which one of you are single? That's good. Nobody raised their hand, so there's no one in this audience for you. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Why not? I have to be honest. I have a lot of money. My husband and I do really, really well. We have a new we have a show going to Broadway. In fact, he's there right now on meetings. We took a show to Broadway a few years ago. How many of you know the actress Holland Taylor? Right? One of our dearest friends, we took her to Broadway in her starring performance as Ann Richards from Texas. Got a Tony nomination. Brilliant. But that was ours. We put it in our theater. I used to own a theater in Los Angeles. We took her to a little room in our theater. She read the play and we just went off because we can. but there's a lot of people that are going to tell you you can't. There's a lot of people. How many here are living on a fixed income? Oh, that's why you said who's rich. But I have to ask you the question, and I don't mean this as a challenge, but who fixed it? I have a lot of my congregants in LA. I have a little old lady, she's 95, and she said to me recently, she said, I'm on a fixed income, you know. I said, who fixed it? And she went, oh my God. And she was like a big movie star in the 20s, she'd be dead. No, maybe not, like the 30s, 40s. She was in the movie Guys and Dolls. I mean, she did tons of movies. Anyway, she's had a whole different resurgence. Since I said to her, who fixed it? She was like, oh my God, why did I fix it like this? I said, yeah, go back to work. Tell your agent you're ready to work again. And she got a huge role on the closing of This Is Us, paid her a fortune. Her fixed income changed because she came to grips. She understood it. She was like, oh my God, I fixed my income. So what if you knew you could be successful and that's all you knew? No more yeah buts. No more, yeah, but I'm this age. Yeah, but I'm doing this. Yeah, but I only have this much retirement. Yeah, but the universe is infinite. Why would we ever decide this is the fixed income I'm going to live on? This is the way I'm going to live when it's infinite. It's about belief. Somewhere along the line, we bought the goods that were sold to us. So how about this one? What if I knew I was rich and that's all I knew? Even right now, with what you have in the bank, with what you own, with your body, with your age, all of it. What if you knew you were rich and that's all you knew? That was the only thing you were willing to entertain. How many of you gossip? Come on, I want it. Hands, hello. Yeah, thank you. How many of you get caught up in conversations that are not necessarily the most positive conversations? Yeah. So what do you think is happening from that? How many of you are kvetchers? Complainers if you're not Jewish. How many of you complain? None of you complain? Really? I'm not buying this. Okay. Would you say I have nobody to complain to? That's a complaint. FYI. Right. So, so thank you for that. That was like perfect for me. So what do you think those complaints are doing? They're reinforcing in this universal creative field everything you're complaining about, everything that you are saying you don't like, it's giving you more of because that's what you're focused on. Because there is this thing called the observer effect. Have you ever heard of the observer effect? It's in quantum physics. The observer effect is that whatever is focused on expands. Whatever you focus on expands. So our job is to focus on what we want, not what we don't want. So here's another one. What if I knew I was insanely talented and that's all I knew? How many of you are insanely talented? And the rest of you? Not so much, but you may be talented. I bet you're talented at something. What are you really crazy and talented about? Did you say kvetching? You're complaining, I'm the best. Right. So what if I knew when I was an actor growing up in New York, I went to New York with not a lot of training, but with a lot of talent. And I was a great singer. I still am. I'm a dancer, actor. I could do it all. It didn't occur to me that I wouldn't get the part. And consequently, I got parts. I kept getting this part, that part. I got a part in an off-Broadway show that was a huge hit, took me right into West Side Story. I did Singing in the Rain, 42nd Street, My One and Only, tons of shows. I got to play Jesus and Jesus Christ Superstar all over the country. I had amazing, amazing success. And then something happened. I was up for this role. Did you ever hear of a musical called On Your Toes? An old musical. And George Abbott was directing it, and he was 102 at the time. Seriously, 102. And Makarova was starring in it. And they were looking for a boy to star opposite her. Well, it came down to me. And I kept going back and forth to auditions and all. And I was offered the part. And the day I was going home to Philadelphia to celebrate this huge thing, because it was going to be Makarova and James Mellon in On Your Toes. And I'm in Trenton, New Jersey, on my way to Philadelphia when I called my agent just to see how much the contract was. Because I didn't know yet, and they were in the middle of, and he said, "You lost the part." I'm on my way home to a celebration party. He's like, "You lost the part." I said, "How could I lose the part? I was just offered the part." George Abbott, 102, went to see Pirates of Penzance. The understudy went on. He loved the understudy. He said, "You were always too handsome for the part. You always knew too much." And this guy was a real geek, and he hired him. I said, "He didn't even get to the final callbacks. I know him." He goes, "Yeah, well, gave him the part." Do you know that from that moment on, I booked like 50% of what I was getting? Up to that point, I was like, I got everything. And it's all about this. What do I know? Well, then I started to know that it's possible someone else might get the part. Up to that point, I was like, Mr. Like, it's mine. If I show up, go, guys, go home. That's how, not arrogantly, just I felt that. I believed that. Then I believed I could lose the part. And then things got really challenging because my mind started to create that existence, that experience. I did turn it around years later, like 4, 5, 6 years later, and all of a sudden everything started to line up again. Do you know when? When I started studying metaphysics with Eric Butterworth. How many of you know who Eric Butterworth is? He's one of the great teachers of unity. And I started going to unity and I got my metaphysics back. I got spirituality back. So here's another one. What if I knew my body was vibrant with perfect health, and that's all I knew? In the face of everything you know about your health, about your body, what if you just knew that you were healthy? Period. Your body is not where the health comes from. It comes from consciousness. When I had stage 4 cancer, my doctors basically said, "Here's what you're going to have to do. You need to have chemo, radiation. We need to cut the stuff out of your throat. You will not speak again. You will have to use a voice thing. You will never sing again." And I was like, A, not an option. B, I would rather not be here than have that experience of life. I said, and it's not going to happen. So I refused the stuff that they wanted to do. I let them do this thing called a neck dissection. And then they took out, very carefully, took out what they had to take out. And I had chemo, I had radiation. I told my doctor, my oncologist, she said, you should shave your head because you're going to go on cisplatin, which is really the toughest chemo, and you're going to lose all your hair. My hair at the time was down to here, and it was black, really black. And I was like, my hair's not falling out. I said, I can't lose my hair. I refuse to lose my hair. And she said, well, you can say all you want, but you're going to lose your hair. So I did not cut my hair. And I'd show up every week for the cisplatin, and she'd be like, you still haven't lost your hair. I said, I'm not losing my hair. And I never lost my hair. Never lost my hair. She called me her miracle patient. And then when I was leaving, when I got through it all, she said to me, what you should have said is you're never going to be nauseous, because I threw up like crazy. And she said, you probably could have handled that too. And I thought, see, I bought into the nausea, but I was not losing my hair. That's how powerful we really are, if we're willing to tap into that power. What if I knew I deserved to be happy? And that's all I knew. How many here would say that they are vibrantly happy? What I do love is the hands are going up slowly. I'm glad you're thinking about it. Okay, so do you think you can be happier? Who thinks they can be happier? Do you not think you can be happier? No? Yes? No, behind you, the godless one. All gods, all gods. Yeah. Can you be happier? You seem very cheerful. Okay, good. So we agree with that then. Everybody could be happier. So, but the word here, the operative word in the sentence is, what if I knew I deserved to be happy? That's your birthright. That's inherent. There's that in you that always wants to be happy, that wants to get to that state that is your natural state. But you have to be willing to only know that. I have a great quote that sits in my office now in Los Angeles, and it says, if I can't put my heart in it, I need to take myself out of it. If I can't put my heart in it, really want it, then I need to step away from it. And I live my life that way now. If this isn't going to make me happy, I'm not willing to do it. And you may say, well, what if it's something you really have to do? Then I need to know how to make myself happy doing it. Because if I decide I have to do it, then there's got to be happiness involved in it. Just ask my husband when he asks me thousands of things to do, and I say no. So that's what you're here to know. You're here to know all of these things. You're here to know that you're successful, that you can be rich, that you can be happy, you can be all of it. And I get it. I really do get it. You know, I most of the places I go and speak I speak to the choir because I'm always asked to do keynotes at big events. Michael Beckwith and I tend to open and close conferences. You know, he either opens it and I close it up, or I open it and he closes it up. And so one of the reasons why I was pensive coming here is because I don't know you. I don't know what your philosophies are. I don't know what your spirituality is. I don't know how you feel about life. I don't know how you feel about the world around you. I don't know any of it. But I do know this. I know that what you believe shows up in your life. That's just a given. And so what I'm here just asking you is take a look at what you believe. Really pay attention. What do I believe? So there's a guy named Paul Levy who wrote a book called Quantum Revelation, and another guy, Amit Goswami, who has an amazing book called The Everything Answer Book. And he says we need to be quantum activists, meaning not just that we have to understand it, but we have to be willing to live this stuff. Because the mind, you all have had 50, 60, 70, anybody over 80? 80, like you're going to raise your hand. 80, 90, whatever you all are, right? You've had all those years to take in everything that's been said to you. And now we're being asked, you mean all along I was running the show? All along I was in charge? And the answer is yes. And I can go back now and look at all the crap that's happened in my life. And I can see my part in it, really see where I was at that time emotionally, that would have attracted that into my life. I like to say, why I was equal to living that life at that time. Kevin and I, my husband, I've been married for 36 years, and we had 2 children, twins. They are be 25 this August. And my daughter, at 19, they went to college. She had a full scholarship to UCLA. She was 5'9", blonde hair, blue eyes, gorgeous, singer, dancer, actress, songwriter, piano player. She was brilliant. Will was kind of the same, but like not really in it. You had to like really work hard to get him to show how talented he was, but he still managed to get a full scholarship to Texas State University as an actor. So she went off to Texas. She was at UCLA, living at UCLA, and first semester, Thanksgiving weekend, a drunk driver hit her and killed her. And that was 5 years ago. And one of the things that happened that week, was someone wrote on my Facebook page, they said, I guess you're going to have to rethink your philosophy that life is always unfolding perfectly. I don't think they meant it in a bitchy way. I think they were really questioning me, saying, I have followed you for many years, and your motto is life unfolds perfectly no matter what. How could this be perfect? And it's what got me back onto the stage that very Sunday after she passed. She sang at my church. We did Sunday service together. She was hit that night, took her 5 days for us to let her go. And that Sunday, I showed back up on stage because I needed to answer that question, that life does unfold perfectly. And that if we stand back far enough, we get to understand it at such a primal level that we're not thrown by what's going on. Now, I was devastated. I am still devastated by this, and I will be devastated my entire life. And I will never get over it, but I will live through it. And that's her life. So she had 19 years, 19 fabulous years on this planet, and she was done. Because if she wasn't done, she wouldn't have gone. She would not have left. I believe that. Anybody ever read Anita Marjani's book, Dying to Be Me? Well, you're going to get to watch the movie because Ridley Scott's doing a movie of her life. She died. She had cancer. She died. She had tumors everywhere. They took her off of life support. She died. Everybody flew in to say goodbye to her. And she writes in her book about going to this place and feeling this love, and a love that was bursting through her. She had never felt that kind of love. And then a question that showed up, are you done? And she was like, I'm not done. Next thing she remembers is opening up her eyes and everybody freaking out and plugging her back in. And, within a month, she was out on the lecture trail giving lectures. And now she has a New York Times bestseller book. You should read it. Dying to Be Me, it's called. Amazing book. I called her because I had met her. I called her and told her what happened with Nora. And I said, I'm having a hard time with Nora because clearly she said, I'm done, instead of coming back. And she was great. She said, James, her answer was for her, not for you. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I'm being selfish. I want her back, but she's on to some other whatever that next thing is, and I don't know what it is. So that's what a quantum activist is. Someone who actually understands the field, and even when something devastating shows up, you still believe what you believe, and you still live from that belief. So the elephant. I want to talk to you about your beliefs for a brief second, and I'm keeping an eye on the clock. Jim told me that when the hour hits, you all need to leave, so I'm good with that. When a baby elephant is born in captivity, or is born, and they capture it, they take a shackle and put it on the elephant's leg, and a stake, and they put the stake in the ground, and then that baby elephant spends its time trying to free itself from that shackle. And it gets so bloody and painful that it can't move. And then it stops because it knows the pain. Fast forward to when the elephant is a grown elephant, tons and tons of weight. All they need is a shackle on their leg and a stake in the ground, and that elephant doesn't move. Why? Because the elephant has created beliefs that they can't get over, beliefs that are creating their behavior, a belief that that stake and that shackle means I am stuck. Because we all know all that elephant has to do is pick up its foot and the stake's out of the ground and whoever's near is dead meat. So you have beliefs in you, just like that elephant does, that shackle you. Old beliefs, beliefs that you gained from the past, beliefs that come from experiences you have. I don't know what they are. I have my own. I've gone through core beliefs. I have a program called Mental Muscle where people spend 16 weeks going through all of their core beliefs to find out which ones are screwing them up, which ones are creating the lives they're living when they actually want to be living these lives. So I invite you to just ask yourself that question. What do I believe that maybe isn't true anymore? What beliefs do I have that possibly are creating the life I'm living and I don't need them anymore? What beliefs are you ready to let go of and be done with? It's funny you bring up the Catholic Church. I gained a lot of the negative beliefs I had about myself from the Catholic Church. However, what I realize is it's not the Catholic Church. It's my willingness to believe certain things that have been brought through the ages and refined, such as homosexuality is wrong. I spent so many years in shame about being gay, trying to be straight, trying to pass as a straight man in the industry. And now I have a great relationship with the Catholic Church. I have a great relationship with all religions in terms of their spiritual values. I'm not real cool when they're trying to shame or make anyone seem wrong, and when they're not inclusive. And that's why I say about the Pope, and I can't believe it's really been 10 years, 11 years, making me worse. So 11 years, but he's inclusive. He's pushing up a boulder up a hill, trying to be inclusive. The Baptists just turned around and said, no, we're allowing gay and lesbians to be ministers. So it's happening. So I'm good with all of that. But anything that's still in me is not the Catholic Church's fault. I'm still harboring certain beliefs, not many anymore, but I did for years, that was causing my life to go in directions I didn't want it. Now I don't. Happiness requires a commitment. The idea of a quantum activist, it may sound like I'm saying it's really easy to turn your thoughts around and turn your beliefs around and just get rid of them and go be rich and go be happy and go find that, no, it was you, go find that rich person to marry. You know, it's that, like, yeah, we can all have whatever we want. Well, we can, but you have to be equal to it in consciousness. Your mind has to be equal to the happiness you're willing to live. Your mind has to be equal to the opulence you are willing to receive. Kevin and I are about to take a new musical to Broadway. And I can't tell you how many of the thoughts come through my mind of what it was like the last time. I've had 2 shows that I've done and produced, and the pain of those shows not being successful as I thought they should have been. That shows up. You get a, uh-oh, but what about this? What happens if this happens? And it's like, I'm done thinking that. It's like, here's the show, we're going to do it, and it will be exactly what it is meant to be in this world. So are we willing to be committed to using our minds? And it's really committed to your mind. Like checking when thoughts are coming through it, saying, why am I thinking that? I don't want to experience that. And really being a watchdog for your mind. So here's the thing. Are you willing to ask the right questions? And here are a bunch of them for you. Why do I react this way? Why do I always do this or that? Any of you do this or that all the time? And you're like, well, I just do that. That's how I do things. What is my intention? Do I believe what I say? Can I make a decision and stick to it? What are my beliefs? All of these questions, if you're willing to ask the questions, you don't even have to go figure out the answers. You just need to be willing to ask the question and get quiet, because there's something in you, in this quantum field of pure creative energy, there's something in you that knows the answer to every question you ask. Sometimes when you're trying to figure out the answer, you screw it up because your critical thinking will start giving you answers. They're still just answers based on your belief system. So I suggest we just ask the question, like, why am I here? And I will tell you, one of the reasons why I'm here too is because I need to hear everything I'm saying. I always say that. And people say, oh, you said exactly what I needed to hear. I'm like, no, I said what I needed to hear. And you happen to be in earshot. So worth, self-worth. Is there anybody here that doesn't think they're worth everything I've been saying tonight? No. You, Jim? Seriously? I know you're kidding. A little bit? So, okay, but no, but that's a good answer. There's a part of you that has a problem with self-worth, right? Right. Self-esteem, acceptance of who we are. Maybe you've done some really bad shit in your life. Anybody? You're all perfect. I've done some really heinous things. Yeah. But one of the things I'm starting to understand is some of the things that I was ashamed of that that I did. I mean, I'll say this, especially in this group. Like I remember in the 1970s when a friend of mine took me to a bathhouse in New York City. I ended up the next day at confession at the Catholic Church. I'm sure the priest loved my confession, but I was like, and then I did this and I was going through a whole litany. I literally relived my night at the Everhard Baths and wherever that was on the east side, because I was so ashamed. And just recently, I see a therapist now once a week for grief counseling, to help me. But we've moved well past grief counseling. Now I talk about the Everhard Baths, and he said to me, he said, that shame, if there's any of that left, that's some of the stuff you need to get at. He said, because a 23-year-old, athletic, sexy guy in New York City who's experiencing and exploring his gay self Why wouldn't he go? And this is a straight guy saying this to me. Why wouldn't he go to a place where he can just have at it? And I was like, yeah, why wouldn't I? And I was like, okay, so why is there still shame there? So, and that shame, by the way, turns into making you feel less worthy and turns into a little bit more of, I don't deserve happiness. I don't deserve rich. I don't deserve love. Um, when I met my husband, I so wanted, I was in and out of relationships. My motto was no stone unturned, male or female. I just went at it. And then I met Kevin, who was the first person who stood up to me and didn't put up with my shit. He was just the first person who would just call me on everything. And he was married at the time to a woman. So I let my guard down because I was like, oh, you're straight. We can be friends. I just let him see everything. And then one night he just grabbed me and kissed me. And I was like, oh no. I've spent so much time pulling my life together. A married man's not my next choice. But it was meant to be, and here we are 36 years later. I mean, his wife wasn't happy about it, but I was. So there's the Ralph Waldo Emerson quote. What mind can conceive, man can achieve. Yes or no? Anybody have a no? Because it's true. It's absolutely true. So here's an experiential. Just close your eyes for a second. Take a deep breath and close your eyes. Everybody online as well. I'm just going to ask you two questions. They're right in front of you, but you're not looking. So just close your eyes and then just ask yourself, why am I here? Don't look for an answer, just listen. Why am I here? Why am I here in this movie theater tonight or online listening? Why am I here? And then just let whatever comes through come through. And then the second question is this: what do you want for the rest of your life? What do you want for this remainder of your life? Okay, then just take another deep breath and open your eyes. So whatever came up is really based on what's in front of you now, BS, which actually means your belief system and the bullshit. But underneath all of that, when you take the time and really ask yourself these questions, why am I here? Or what do I want? What do I want for the rest of my life? Most people don't ask, what do I want? Because they don't think they can have it. And it's too fearful. It's scary to go, well, I really would like this, but I think I can only have this. So taking everything and pushing it aside, really ask yourself that, what do I want? You may want a husband. You may want love. You may want great sex, whatever it is. What do I want? You may want more money. You may want to travel. Whatever's coming up, listen to it. Be willing to listen to it. And then trust that you can have it. Because it's either your belief system or it's bullshit. Same initials. But you must be willing to look at your BS. You have to be willing to call yourself out. You have to be willing to say, I actually do believe that I'm limited. And then start working. So what I invite you to do is release all preconceived ideas you have about yourself. You walked in here tonight with preconceived ideas of who you are. You walked in here tonight with preconceived ideas of who you've been in the world and what your beliefs are and what you want and what you know you can have, right? Let go of that. And then let go of what you think you know. I use this all the time. I know nothing. Now, what can I know? I look at politics right now. It's horrifying to me what's going on. And yet, I'm willing to say, I know nothing. Now, what can I know? I remember when Clinton had his first midterms, and I was in Texas around all these Democrats at this party, all these gay Democrats in Texas, and we lost Congress, and they were screaming and everything. And I just said, guys, everything unfolds perfectly. So this is what needed to happen. my God, they wanted to stone me. Even my husband, he's like, James, you shouldn't talk. You should not talk at political things because this spiritual stuff doesn't work on politics. I was like, well, actually, it's all spiritual, even politics. I said, so here's what I think. I think he lost Congress so that he'll be reelected. Because if he still had Congress and he still didn't get anything done, he wouldn't be reelected. And he was like, well, we won't know that for 2 years. I was right. I just say. So I know nothing. Now, what can I know? Maybe if we take our minds out of everything we think we know, the universe, this quantum interesting field of everything, will start telling us what we need to know. So represent the past. Anything that comes up from the past is coming up to recognize it. How many of you get stuck in the past sometimes thinking about the past and what's gone on and what's happened, right? Yeah, I know. I love the eye roll, right? But if it comes up, it's not that we should try, most people say, just stop it, don't think about it. No, do think about it. Be willing to think about it. If it's coming up for a reason. Usually it's coming up to be let go of. But we don't. We push it back down where it's doing its dirty work anyway. So whatever comes up, the past, whatever's coming up, whatever ideas, thoughts, beliefs are coming up for you, let them come up. And Tara Brach, this great writer, she says, invite it to tea. Just sit it down and say, hello, what do you have for me? No matter what it is. And then invite it to leave. And maybe it'll leave you for good. So allow something bigger than you to become the guiding force of your life. And the question is, what would that be? And here's the thing. There's actually nothing bigger than you because you are it. There's a great poet, Rumi, Persian poet, who says, you are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. But see, we tend to walk around thinking that we're drops as opposed to the entire ocean. So that something bigger than you is right where you are. It's not out there. All of it is right here inside of you. So I just invite you to take this little affirmation. Today, I decide to live fully and live it and see what it feels like when you wake up in the morning. Just today, I decide to live fully and then pay attention to how you're living your day. Remember, what you tell yourself is far more important than what others tell you. And it's time to take care of your mind. You've spent many years taking care of your bodies. Now it's time to take care of your mind and watch how the body responds. And that's where the journey begins. And that is my final slide. So now I have a few minutes for you guys to ask questions. Yes. You can tell we're in a gay crowd. All of that, and what's the musical? It's called The Bells Are Swinging. And do y'all remember the movie A League of Their Own? So it's based on the source material of A League of Their Own, but not the story itself, but the source material of the Racine Bells. And it's split in 1940s and today. And I actually wrote it about my daughter, who the day of her accident was having one of those dark night of the souls as only a 19-year-old girl can have, that the boy she likes didn't like her and all this stuff. And we had this long day together. And then she was going out to dinner with the boy that wasn't giving her the attention, which didn't make me happy. And she said something to me that really surprised me. First of all, she wanted to leave UCLA. She'd been there 5 weeks. She was like, I'm done. I just want to act. That summer, she had been cast. She had been put on hold to star as Meryl Streep in Mamma Mia, the third step. She was put on hold to play young Meryl Streep. She looked a lot like a more beautiful young Meryl Streep. And then at the last minute, Lily James accepted the part, and Lily James got it. And Nora's name was Nora James. So she got a taste of it. She'd gone through these screen tests, and she really was freaking brilliant. And her agents were like, it's a matter of time now. She's going to get the next thing she goes for. And so she was done. She was like, why am I in college? Why would I be sitting here with people teaching me who never had a success in their career? I'm going to And she said, I just want to get out and start acting. And I had to convince my husband and the two mothers that I said, and I promised her that day, I said, I'm all on board. Finish the semester and then you're done. And she said to me in our discussion, she said, just because I'm good at something doesn't mean I have to do it. And it really touched me. And she was talking about how bright she was and how smart she was. And just because she was good at it didn't mean she should stay in college. Well, the play is about a woman named Nora, a girl named Nora, who's a phenom like Caitlin Clark. Caitlin, is that her name? The basketball player? Yeah, so she's a phenom. And everybody's just expecting her. She's just graduated college. They're expecting her to go. And she's like, I'm done. I don't want to play it. And she finds out that her great great aunt is the all-star pitcher from the Racine Bells, who was a lesbian and ostracized, and she never knew they were in the family. It's a beautiful musical, and the actors play the same roles in both years. They go back and forth. So it's been great. We've done like 4 workshops. We have another big workshop this summer, then the first production. So it's exciting.
So back to your first question,
Yeah.
my former minister, she used to combine all 4 religions into one. And she would combine Buddhism, Catholicism, Christianity, Hinduism. And so I came here to see over here, there's something like her out there. Someone that can combine all
Yep.
religions together into one
Mm-hmm.
and bring a message about oneness.
Yes. That's what we do. That's our theme, oneness. That's our precept. Yeah, come join us on a Saturday night at the Mizell Center. Saturday night, 4 o'clock, 4 to 6, 4 to 5:30 at the Mizell Center. It's great, and it's a very non-denominational, inclusive, celebrating oneness. Yep. Yeah, yes.
With everything you said, it doesn't sound like you entertain the concept of retirement.
Funny you should say that. I do entertain the idea of you know what I call it though? Refirement. So that I'm not like laying down, retiring, but I'm what's next. So that there's what's next. No, I believe very strongly in retirement. In fact, I'm on a plan to retire as a minister, as the active minister. I'll be in emeritus after that because I want to do other things. I want to travel more. I want to write more books. I want to direct more Broadway musicals. So yeah. So are you saying stopping everything?
That you've been doing to do all new things. You know?
Yeah.
Because once you have a career and then you retire, you learn how to go fishing, you learn how to do this. You know?
Yeah. I'm happy to learn how to knit. Right, right, yeah. Yes. Oh.
When I heard the Spanish word that they use.
What is it?
Jubilado.
Jubilado? Jubilated. Well, you know, there's something about retirement that's wonderful, which means I'd like to think that when I retire, I will be really good with everything I've done up to that point. I'm really feeling good about myself, really good about myself, and then be open to whatever. You know, someone asked me, I'm supposed to do this workshop on sex after 60. You know, I was asked to do it. I don't know why they thought I should do it, but and I thought, you know, I could do that. I think there should be sex up to the minute I die. I mean, I really do. I mean, and yet there's so many people who believe that at a certain point, sex dies down. I have not found that to be the case. I said, so is it that sex dies down? Physically, biologically, it does not. But mentally, it does. We talk ourselves out of it. So I don't know where that came from, but I'm excited about that. Any other questions? Oh, any questions online? I meant to ask that. No, okay, great. Yes.
Is this somewhat like science of the mind spirituality?
It is. I'm a Science of Mind minister. Oh no, you went to Mark's church? Oh, Mark's one of my dearest friends. Yeah. Mark could teach the sexuality and spirituality class.
Did you say 4:30 on Saturdays at Mizell?
Yeah.
What's the name?
It's called the Global Truth Center. Yeah. 4 o'clock, sorry. So I'm saying, yeah, 4:30. Drop in anytime. Saturday. Yeah, 4 o'clock on Saturdays. Yep. Well, this has been a real pleasure. They're right. Look, we're 1 hour. I really appreciate getting to spend time with you. I'm not pensive whatsoever now. I felt really good, and thank you for being so welcoming and so loving. Thank you. To you. Okay.
So we just want to say thanks to Jim for being here with us, and we thank everyone online for joining us also. So have a good evening.